Alright, welcome back. Let's talk about the stonk market. Since they smashed gold Sunday and Friday. First of all, not financial advice. Consult your licensed financial advisor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. These are my opinions, my thoughts. Completely wrong. Do your own research. Do not invest in anything you cannot afford to lose or lose sleep over. No position sizing, no risk tolerance, no it all. Alright, I'm just gonna freestyle it because I haven't been making videos lately. I mean, what am I gonna make videos on? A rigged market? Is that what I'm supposed to make videos on? Well, before I go into the stock market real quick, looks like Hex will break out. If you buy it now, you get two, because you're going to get a copy on the Ethereum blockchain and then on the Pulse blockchain, which is Ethereum 2.0, front-running Ethereum 2.0, because the gas fees are ridiculous. It's like $200 to transact. So, hold on, give me a second. Alright, so that's that. Looks like it's about to break out. This looks like a nice bull flag. It should break out because at any time, a week or two from now, the pulse fork may happen. So you would want to have all your hacks to get the copy. Alright. I'll make a crypto video tomorrow. Bitcoin on the left, Ethereum on the right. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Alright, so the green is S&P 500, orange is gold. The blue line is the 10-year yield. They're going to do yield curve control. They have to. If they don't, the whole thing blows up. It's that simple. I've talked about it for years. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's if interest rates go up, everyone's debt comes due, and the whole Ponzi thing implodes. Gold, there is a huge correlation between yields, not the DXY. Again, like every retard, DXY, like shut up. It's just the dollar versus other fiat currencies. All fiat currencies are going down. They just take turns. Like this month we'll dip more than the other currency, and then this month we'll dip more, because they're all doing the same thing because everything's pegged to the dollar. It's that simple. And yeah, metals are manipulated. Listen, they smashed it Friday. They smashed it Sunday or Monday morning on low volume. 4 billion was dumped. It's nothing new. They've been doing it for like decades. And yeah, it's beyond frustrating. They did it because the CPI numbers came out today. Inflation's still happening. Inflation numbers are still bad. For the last few months, past 2 quarters this year, it's been bad. Really high inflation, like we haven't seen since like the 70s. But I think I think people are just dumb. Uh, you know, chemically induced autism. Complacency. I don't know. It's disheartening. Listen, I mean, everything that's been happening in the past 2 years. It's proof that most people are borderline. Even if they're smart, as a survival mechanism, they'll go with the herd. They'll go with the trend, even though the entire herd and the trend is going off a cliff. All right, if that makes sense. Midwits, smart people go with the herd. Dumb people can't change with the times, but the truly intelligent, they go with the herd sorta, but right before they go off the cliff, the intelligent people veer off to the right and they're like, "See ya." All right, and then they create the new trend. They become empowered. So that's what's happening. Gold's gonna rebound. There's a couple reasons why they do this, right? First of all, they need to exit their short positions, their naked shorts. The naked shorts there's no real metals backing their shorts. They just make new contracts out of thin air, which is like fraud. But hey, I mean, that's the world we live in now because we live in the time of weak men, right? So, okay, if we're going to live in the time of weak men, nothing makes sense. Only villains get away with everything and everyone suffers. So until that changes, which it will once the whole thing goes to shit, right? But for now, you got to play the game. So they need to cover their shorts, and then they also want to put in their long positions because it's pretty damn obvious that the fact that they're just about to pass a 3.5 trillion infrastructure bill or whatever, we're gonna get massive inflation. They could say it's transitory, they could make up numbers, but eventually, like, it's at the point where people are like, wow, I can't afford anything anymore. And it's gonna get there. It's gonna happen soon. And once the ball starts really rolling, where your average normie starts noticing it and starts really complaining about it, and it's in their face, and now they're suffering. The managerials of this world, their solution will be, because they don't have one, the only thing they could do is, all right, well, we'll just give them more money so they get by. Because if they don't, then, the pitchforks and torches come out. So UBI is going to come out. They're probably going to do more stimmy checks. If they try to do the lockdowns and this and that to stop inflation with literally just halting everything, that'll actually create an even bigger problem, and it'll piss people off even more, and it'll just, one night, everyone's gonna snap. And I don't know if they're smart enough to know that, the people, trying to run this shit show. I really don't know. I think they're all, it is what it is. We'll keep an eye on it, I guess. So, also, I don't think the markets have priced in the possibility of a reduction in the population. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't help you. Because, obviously, I cannot speak freely, right? That's how bad things are. This is how far we are along on this journey to hell and ruin. So I can't talk about it, right? But it's probably gonna be less people. And you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. You just be really smart. Listen, if you don't follow me on my other social media accounts and this and that, and you're not in my free newsroom, I mean, fuck you, Like, that's where you get the real gravy, right? And if you're too lazy to go there, follow me, or care, then it is what it is. I'm here to help people who are willing to help themselves. Everyone else, I guess you're just, lost cause at this point. All right, so yeah, looks like they're going to do yield curve control. Maybe Wall Street wakes up then. Because here's the problem. Most of Wall Street is they're Gen X and millennials, and they've never actually seen real inflation. Even as they see, as we have it right now, because we have inflation everywhere. Used cars, RVs, man, they've got to be really priced high. Homes, everything except maybe electronics. Food's shrinking. The packages are shrinking. You're getting smaller portions. If you go to fast food, they always have a shortage of something. And I try not to, but I end up going at least once a week because, you're busy. But even then, I tried. I've always wanted to create like a fast food franchise based on like healthy food, kind of like a Subway, but actually really healthy, like real food. Um, Maybe in the future. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there's supply chain issues for a lot of things, and that's going to continue. There'll be shortages, and there's just freight liners just backed up on the West Coast everywhere. Now, some would say, well, that's a good thing. People are buying things. Uh, I mean, technically, yeah, we're giving China just worthless paper, right? And they're giving us goods. But in the long run, that's bad because we create nothing, and then when that stops, and it will someday, then when you become dependent on something else, and then they take it away from you, it's pretty painful, isn't it? Well, we're gonna see that on a huge macro scale when the global thing comes apart because it's all backed up by a global financial system, right? And these increasing complex systems, especially if they're backed by like a corrupt system and the system where it's basically dependent on endless credit injections which are increasing in size, it's just not going to end well. Now, I've shown you guys, if you go to nationaldebtclock.org, you got to go through a bunch of tabs to find it, but the largest holder of gold is actually the IMF. Where did they get it all? That's a good question. I'd like to see someone figure that out, but I have a good idea, and I think you guys understand. But I think that's their plan, like plan C. Plan A is keep the music playing as long as humanly possible. Try to go to some green energy scam thing. Another, scam is like carbon credits. They're making a killing off of that. All of that it's temporary. It's like I said, all of that takes way more carbon. We cannot become green based off of windmills, solar panels, and whatnot. I mean, I don't even want to go nuclear. I think that's a lot of people are talking that's going to be the future. Yeah, they have more. They have plants. They have new improved plants which run more efficiently, possibly more safe, but I don't really trust it. Nobody talks about hydro, but hey, this is what they're doing now, or they're wanting to do, right? But I believe all of that is also temporary, maybe for this decade. Where was I going with this? The complexity of the system. Okay. An ever increasing complex system needs a society which is ever more intelligent. And if you're paying attention, I do not think we're moving forward. We're moving backwards. Like, most people do not use their smartphones and computers to self-educate, to solve problems, to create new innovative things. I mean, yeah, it's still happening here and there, but the way I see it is they use it for entertainment. Um, Public schooling, universities, not exactly entrepreneurial based, right? Which promotes critical thinking. And the last 2 years of just people letting all this shit happen. I mean, there's so much evidence that this is all nonsense. Obviously, what's happening is they used it to have emergency powers to bail out the global economy with endless money printing, which buys you maybe a few more years, and then the problem is even worse, and eventually, I mean, it's just we're gonna get hyperinflation, not just in the U.S. but everywhere. Well, not maybe. There's a few countries I could think of that won't. Think of the countries that have already gone through it. I mean, how much worse can it get for them, right? So, that have recently gone through it in the recent past, right? But this has happened. If you study history, it's very easy to determine the future. Nothing's changed. This has happened over and over and over and over and over again for like every country. I could just name a list of countries this has happened to. It's like textbook rise and fall of empires. All right, the fourth turning, whatever. Fourth turning's a good one to read, but yeah. So let's look at the yield curve. Very interesting. So here's the yield curve, right? You have the 30-year to the right, you have the 3-month to the left, and here's like the curve, right? The 2001 tech bubble, this is what it looked like. You can see the 30-year, the 20-year, you can see the slope of the yield, right? All right, here's 2009, same thing happened. The slope of the yield. Here was the COOF situation. And yeah, there's a slope, right, for the yield curve. If you've noticed, as we go on with time, the highs are lower for the 30-year, the 20, the 10. Why is that? That's because of artificial tampering, right? That's the Fed controlling yields artificially. So let's go to the current. This blue line is the S&P 500. Well, look, it's done it again. So it looks like we're due for some sort of correction in the markets. It'll probably happen like this fall. I'm just going to guess here. You know what's going to happen? All of a sudden, there's a new type of problem that comes out. A new bug. A new comes out, right? And all of a sudden, they got to do it all over again, right? And the reason that's going to happen is not because it actually exists. Well, let's just say a lot of people took the ticket, and that ticket might have weakened their defenses inside their body. And then every cold season is going to just wreck people. And then you become dependent on interventions into your bodily fluids. I might have probably already said too much. I don't know. All right, so let's just continue here. And then that'll give him an excuse to do more stimmies, this and that. And, we've been through this. We're going on 2 years almost now. So it's pretty much the new normal. It's been conditioned for your little brains. Until at some point, listen, when does the whole system change? When everyone has lost everything. So again, making money's great, but will it matter in the end if they could just take it from you? No. But hey, I mean, that's what's going to have to happen, I guess. Because people are cowards. They're silent, and I don't know. They're hoping for people like me to solve everything. I can't. I'm at the point where I'm like, this is just going to have to happen, isn't it? Because we're too far gone at this point. So it's just going to have to happen. So, just why fight the tide? Just turn around and sail with it and go through the rapids. All right, agriculture. Been doing good. Been holding that for a while, over a year, almost 2 years. And we were getting in down here around, I thought it was $12. Oh, $13. It's very near the lows. Doing great. Here's another chart. The M2 money supply. Gold is orange, and the M2 money supply is blue. Well, guess what's going to... Do you see a trend here? The M2 goes up. Gold also goes up with it. Of course, not in a straight line. Not in such a fashion, but it does. If you zoom out far enough, you can see it goes up with it. And they're passing an infrastructure bill. So what's going to happen? It's going to go even higher, and then the orange line, which is gold, is going to go up higher. This yellow line down here is the velocity of money. So the velocity of money is not really picking up. Why is that? Because nobody's opening businesses. It's either people find it too risky because they don't know what's going to happen in the future because we live in strange times. People aren't innovative. I heard a lot of people are saying that they're giving credit to everyone. I don't think that's true. They might give it to you to buy shit you don't need, but they won't not give it to you to like start a business. Or maybe people just don't have collateral, or maybe people are just already swimming in so much debt they just can't take on anymore. So they won't. And the velocity of money, it's kind of stagnant. So you do need velocity of money to pick up for that hyperinflationary event. But it could also just happen off of psychology. So what does that tell you? You know what's funny? Technically, the economy can't ever really recover. Because if the economy does recover, that would actually create like massive inflation. But it can't. The damage is done. All the small business. I drive around. There's just empty commercial real estate everywhere. Small businesses gone. The only thing left are these monopolies, which are just completely dependent on China, right? So, yeah. But will the velocity pick up? Yeah, based off of human psychology. If people expect prices to only go up and increasingly go up, then as soon as they get any paper into their hands, or digital ones in $0 or any fiat currency, they'll go and spend it because they'd rather buy it sooner than later when it costs more. And what should kick that off will be UBI. I mean, we already sort of have it, right? I mean, all the unemployment benefits, renters don't have to pay. So The people who own apartment buildings, who rent out property, they're the ones who are ending up homeless, ironically. Um, Student loans, no one has to pay those anymore. So, and once you give people these freebies, you can't take them away because they become dependent on it and they become lazy, right? So, that's already sort of pretty much UBI. But they're going to have to do more. They're going to have to give it to everyone. Because people who are suckers, who are still working and paying into the system, they're actually spending less and less. Why is that? Because they're the suckers getting hosed. So they're going to have to supplement them as well. What's left of the middle class or whatever. Lower middle, I don't even know. So, because that's the only way they're going to get economic spur, right? Like some sort of growth. I don't know. Like I said, it's the Fed and the managerial class here. It's like they're walking on a tightrope, trying to balance everything all at once. And like I keep saying, this is very complex. It's global, and just looking at geopolitical stuff, I mean, it's not going to take much. Another destabilizing event or whatever. Like, I sound dumb sometimes, but it's because I'm censoring myself. Like, I can't really talk about the one nation that wants to, it's looking at Taiwan, right? That's going to be a big event. By the way, if that happens, I do think it'll shoot commodities much, much higher. All right, here's WTI Oil Crude. So the U.S. isn't exactly energy independent, especially with oil anymore. Matter of fact, they're trying to... But the oil companies that do survive this are going to do very good in the long run, I believe. It's just that they're getting crushed, the oil companies. Now, crude alone, maybe looking at the ETFs for just crude, I think I'm sticking to it. This looks good. Look at my blue line. Look at the 200-day moving average. They're curling over and about to trend up. So oil's going to go higher. I do believe we'll test at least $80. 80, maybe $90 by year end. This is giant cup and handle. It really hasn't broken out yet. It tried, then it got slammed down. And I saw in the news they want OPEC to produce more. Maybe they will. And it's funny though, right? Because we have the highest unemployment historically all across the globe. Yet oil is still going up because people are not driving as much as they used to. I drive around. Cars are home. People are just sitting at home. People don't have to commute as much to work. A lot of them work from home now as well. Yes, there was a lot of people taking vacations and trips. They really needed to get out this summer. But still, I mean, I haven't looked into the data. Are people really consuming more gas? Or is it really just the cost of drilling? Is it really just the cost of the energy, right? And the devaluation of the currency. I think it's the mixture of the cost and the devaluation, which is really driving the price higher. So imagine if everything did go back to normal. Oil would take off and go easily back to retest new all-time highs, like $150. At the pumps, you would see double from right now, the price. I don't think a lot of people could afford that, which would be deflationary. So people would travel less, spend less, and this and that. There's always conflicting deflationary and inflationary battles going on, right? So you'll get spikes of massive inflation, which is actually deflationary for the economy because people have less money to spend, which then creates deflation, and then it just goes up and down, up and down. But if you zoom out again, the trend is going up over a long period of time. So here's the gold smash. Pretty bad, man. Here, let me zoom in. So it went from like 1820, fell all the way down to 1678. Of course, that's not normal. That never happens. I mean, it does, but it's rare, right? I mean, it's there for the world to see what just happened here. They can see where everyone puts their stop orders, right? And then they run everyone's stops. And then they get liquidated at lower prices. Everyone gets wrecked, the retail investor. And then they close their shorts down here, and then they go long. Whoever did this, right? And now it's back up and to the right, right? And I do think institutions, smart money, they know that psychologically people are going to notice that, yeah, inflation is way out of control. And it'll happen by this year's end. And then gold will break out. And it'll be very rapid, very quick. It'll leave most people behind. My leverage position's completely wrecked. I'm still long. I mean, after it drops like this, yeah, you get a margin call, but if you don't get liquidated, you're lucky. You feed it a little bit, feed it some more cash. You just hold on, and hopefully you could hold on long enough to stay in the green or the black, right? The positive. And it's not fair, but this world we live in, it's very, very not fair. And if people actually understood how unfair it is, because, again, like, they just passed 3.5 trillion. How much does the common person actually benefit or see from that? I doubt much. Very little. They might fix a few roads here and there, but for the most part, they're just, it's going to the fat cats, right? And the big companies and this and that. Everyone who wrote the 1,000+ page, right? Who wrote that? Companies did. They wrote it. That's why there's special interests and lobbying, right? This is why you need to smash the likes, share my videos. Because I say these things and my channel doesn't grow. Every day they just remove people. And eventually I'll stop making videos and I'll stop doing all this because it'll be just too dangerous. I don't know. It'll just be too much. Not worth it, right? Especially if you guys don't go to my website and join the private group. Then it's really not worth it for me to be doing this. Because they make sure I cannot grow. And every video, it's like someone in the comment section says, why don't you have like 100,000 followers? Because the information I say is good. It's real. It's not bullshit. Everyone else who has big followings, this and that, they toe the line. They might say a lot, but they don't ever give it to you 100%. And I don't either, technically, because I can't. It's the only reason why I'm still around. Silver got really hit hard. Unbelievable. So, they're passing all this trillions and trillions and trillions to go green and go electric EV vehicles, this and that. Where in the hell is all the minerals going to come from? Where is all the silver going to come from to use all this? Why wouldn't the price be higher if the demand is the greatest ever in history Does any of this make sense? No. Actually, it does make sense. They artificially keep it low so they could get those resources cheap to fund their dreams that aren't going to work out in the long run. But this is also a financial commodity. And if people just keep buying the physical stuff, and eventually, I mean, I don't know, these mines have to do something. They have to create like an OPEC or something for themselves and stop selling at these low prices because, yeah, I mean, they're all profiting. All the mining companies are fixing their balance sheet. They're all profiting at these prices, but the price of it should be like literally 10 times higher. But they keep their mouths shut. Why do they keep their mouths shut and they don't complain? Because we're in the era of weak people. Literally, like mentally and physically. So things don't change until, I don't know, until people can't take it anymore. It's very sad. The biggest mistake I've ever made investing in anything in my life is always underestimating how shitty, dumb, lazy, and stupid people are. It blows my mind. So yeah, my prediction for gold and silver breaking out, going to a huge bull rally like it did, I was wrong. And it is what it is. I thought the CPI data, this and that. I thought common sense would rule supreme, right, in a free market. Again, my mistake. I should have known better. We do not have free markets whatsoever. Not even a resemblance of it anymore. And again, I underestimate. Because investors literally think that they can raise interest rates just because they say they might think about it. Or they might think of doing it. Because now we do see inflation. So as inflation's been picking up this year, people are like, oh no, they're going to raise rates. That's going to crush metals. It's going to crush it. Technically, if they raise rates, it blows up the bubble. And then metals will just... It might drop temporarily, but then they'll rally even higher. No matter what happens, they're going to go up. It's just you got to just hold on until they do. But this just shows you how people can't think anymore. I mean, none of this makes sense. The debts do matter. People think debt doesn't matter anymore. Of course it does. You have to finance it. How do you finance it? You just have to keep printing and printing and printing. Eventually, all the debt and the high inflation, it destroys all productivity. Where is this going to end up? There's no more businesses and stores left. Supply chain just doesn't even work anymore. It's already breaking down if you pay attention. And the stock market's at record highs and gold's like a zero. It's upside down world, obviously. And and you know what? This historically kind of probably was always like this, right? I think nothing made sense. Everything was upside down right before the music stopped. So the music plays the loudest before it stops. And you see the most ridiculous things before the revert back to the mean happens. The correction happens. The correction is a normal part of markets and everything to bring back reality, normality. Because we're obviously in the most ridiculous time in financial history ever. I literally saw a JPEG, an image of a rock. It's on my Twitter if you want to see it. I'm not bringing it up. A picture of a rock sell for $250,000, or was it a couple $100,000? Maybe it was $180,000. It doesn't matter when we're a picture of a rock sold for over $100,000. Let that shit sink in. So, it's painful being right in an insane world. And you know what? I do believe most people they're at the point where their minds have been broken. They're all insane. They're just gone, man. Just gone. Here's a silver miner. Look at that. They're all on discount. Like, huge sale. Looks like a good time possibly to buy the dip on these mining stocks. Look how high this sucker went in 2021. And I have this one in my portfolio. And look at this drop. What is this? So, from 2020, when I bought it, it ran up. I can't see it. Come on. It ran up like 600%. Almost 700%. And it's retraced, corrected. Wow, 78%. Probably a good buying opportunity if you're a contrarian, right? As a contrarian, probably a good buying opportunity. Here's the uranium stock. Went up from when we bought it. Bought it early on. Actually, wait. It's back here. Went up like 7x. Yeah, it went up about 5x. It's pulled back 30%. Probably a really great dip buying opportunity. Let's look at some news. See, here's the things, that I cannot talk about. It's probably bad enough it's on my screen, but so home buyers are already suddenly paying for their FOMO on buying homes. Yep. That happened quick. I've already seen prices dropping. And I've seen a lot of posts, motivated seller. That's like saying, oh shit, I'm desperate. I need to get out of this because I can't pay the mortgage. Look at these headlines. Small caps, crude oil, and the yield curve dump and pump as soaring CPI and COOF cases stall. Oh yeah, they're getting ready. So, yields plunge after strongest 10-year auction on record. So, I really feel bad for the renters. Could you imagine saving up money, right? Buying a piece of property for a lot and then doing the maintenance on it and then renting it out, and then you just have a bunch of deadbeats who just sit in it. And technically it's not the deadbeats' fault either, because they probably lost their jobs because of that's happened in the past 2 years. Because people are Just let it happen, Um, so now everyone suffers except the deadbeat. The deadbeat suffers in the end because you never get free shit without a catch. There's always, you're going to give up something. In the end, who knows, right? But what you initially give up is your skills and your motivation. And giving that up and doing nothing, what do people do who don't have jobs, who don't pay rent? Like, just getting all this free money. What do they do all day? They just shop? Probably, I guess. I don't know. But for the people who saved up money, fixed up, let's say, a couple homes to rent out or duplexes, and then kept the maintenance on it and then put them out for rent, I don't think they're getting paid by anyone. Like, they just have to let people squat, and then they're not going to do the maintenance. And then what do you think's going to happen as soon as this thing ends? Which I don't think these moratoriums will ever end, to be honest. Have you seen the pictures of the apartment buildings and everything in Cuba? That's where this is heading. And no one's going to maintain the buildings, and people are just going to squat in them until they fall apart. Maybe some people, there's no point in maintaining something you don't own. And the person who did own it prior to you probably went bankrupt. This is unbelievable. And this violates not just that, it violates private property laws. Like I said, it doesn't matter where you live, what you own, or how much money you have. If they could break the laws, these laws especially, they could take everything away from you willy-nilly. Everything. And you know what? They're going to. And you know what? Why not? There's no opposition whatsoever. An average person right now just pretends they live in La La Land. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be... No, it's not. And you don't deserve it to be. So, it is what it is. It's God's plan. I want to bring up that picture, the one where it's like hard times create strong men and strong men create the good times. And the good times create weak men and the weak times bring on the hard times, right? It's just cyclical, isn't it? And, the people spreading fear, just stop it. You're part of the problem. Yeah, you gotta go. Just like we already know, like we know what's coming. There's no point of staring at it like it's amusement or at first it started out as a dopamine rush and amusement, and people thought they were smart because they knew what's coming, and a lot of people did care, and then now it's turned into like psychological fear that grips you and makes you stagnant, and you just can't get anything done. You're just in constant state of fear. That's how your mind breaks and you become completely controlled. So people who spread fear, especially in my chat groups, you can share stuff. But if it's nonsense, just spreading fear, you're gone. Banned. For life. I'll talk about the regs and the laws. Listen, eventually everything's going to be... we're almost there anyways, where everything is basically illegal, so... But it is nice to see that the people who have been causing a lot of pain and censorship are the ones who are now eating their own medicine, right? They're getting dealt what they've been putting out onto others. This is interesting. So, you're going to get these it's everything happens in waves. It's fractals, right? So, like I said, when there's a huge spike in inflation, people just stop buying stuff because they could afford less. And then that's their initial knee jerk reaction. And then what does that cause in the short, like, let's say for 3 to 4, 6 months, it's high inflation, right? And then people stop buying, and then you get a period of deflation. And then people start buying again, and then you get another cycle of inflation. But if you zoom out far enough, what does it end up looking like, right? Ignore this on the right. I'm just going to draw. So you get a spike, inflation. People stop buying stuff, deflation. Makes a higher low. If people start buying stuff again, inflation, deflation. UBI, inflation, deflation. But a long enough time frame, the trend is up. So new cars and trucks, used cars and trucks. I mean, everyone's driving around new vehicles. Everyone bought like a vehicle in the past 2 years. So it'll get to the point where everyone should be satisfied. Because, all those stimmy checks and extra unemployment benefits, I'd say like a lot of those people upgraded their vehicles. A lot of them. And we're going to see rent inflation eventually as well. Why are we going to see that? So people who've been renting out their properties, I mean, they're... Okay, so the people who already have rental properties, and then they have people just squatting in them. They might have other rental properties, or people who rent properties out. They see these moratoriums and whatnot, which scares them, and they want to make sure the people who do rent from them won't lose their jobs, and they're going to continue to pay, and they're not going to take the freebie ticket, right? Of, hey, I lost my job, I can't pay, tough shit, you can't kick me out either. So, for one, they're going to ask for larger deposits. They're going to do massive credit background checks and whatnot. And then they're going to raise their rents as well, because what this does is it creates a shortage in rentals. And it's much harder for people to get into a rental. So it drives prices higher and higher and higher, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is also a form of inflation, if you think about it. And then rents are just going to go through the roof. People aren't going to have home. People are not going to have places to live. You're going to see tent cities popping up everywhere, not just in the West Coast, right? Maybe those... And RV prices are already high, so you can't even live in them. I don't know, man. It's pretty bad what's happening. So all of these, the free market is not allowed to work. And this is what happens when the free market can't wash out the malinvestment, can't wash out all the garbage. This is what happens when you try to micromanage an economy. Because you're so afraid of the Ponzi imploding, you're forced to micromanage. And then, again, you're like the wizard and the Wizard of Oz, just pulling levers, this and that, pressing buttons, doing all this stuff to keep everything going in an ever-increasing complex system that's propped up by cheap credit. Eventually, it's just going to freeze up and boom. And I don't know when that's going to happen. But damn, like, it's getting pretty wild out here, right? Alright guys, so smash some likes, leave a comment, go to my website, join the private group. It's probably worth it if you want to support me. If you want me to keep making videos and this and that. I'm gonna do some more research on these stocks, commodity sector stocks, this and that. On the crypto side, I talk about that in the private group as well. Alright guys, till next time.